Gate towns! Oh, I had it upside down. In the Planescape campaign setting, there are 16 planes of existence that are in a circle called the Great Wheel. It's the Great Wheel cosmology. And the hub of that wheel is Sigil, which is a torus shape, a donut, that is found in the center. Now, the spokes of this wheel, or the rims, if you will, would be the Outlands. And within the Outlands, there are magical gates that will take you from one plane of existence to another, because the gate is how the common folk move goods and services from one plane of existence to another. So towns have sprung up, and these gate towns are all over the Outlands, and they're just prime for adventurers, and they're just a great locale to use for planar travel. So let's talk about gate towns. But first, this video is sponsored by Describe and their new tabletop RPG audio service, Opus. You can mix in music, ambient sound, and sound effects to enhance your tabletop game. Either at the table with a trusty laptop and speaker, or online with invite links to allow for others to kind of start like a listening party in your virtual space. If you're curious, please go ahead to the link down below and use the code Jordan with a PH in the middle for a 30-day free trial. You could use the gear grinding noise of Automata to the tavern rabble of Plaguemort. Describe has you covered. So please click the link in the description below, check out Opus, and thank you again, Describe. Hello everybody, Jordan here. The PH is silent. Something that I don't see in the 5e version of Planescape is the rings of magical power that are within the Outlands. So originally in the Outlands, in 2nd edition, the closer you got to the Spire, the more magic just didn't work. Magic would diminish until you physically got to the Spire, and then all magic would just kind of be gone. And this mechanic, this effect, was replaced in 5e with pockets of anti-magic that come and go. But I really liked the idea of these magical levels. It kind of enhanced the danger if you decide to cross the Outlands over rather than going around in the circle. So every gate town within the Outlands is found on the 9th ring, where magic just works normally. But if you go too far into the 8th ring, now 9th level spells don't work. And if you go all the way to the 3rd ring, well, 9th level through 4th level spells won't function. This forced many magical beings to actually take the long way around and walk the edge of the Outlands rather than walking across it. And it also raised fun questions of what Sigil is actually, and if it's there funneling magical power throughout the entire multiverse. Now, I find the gate towns very interesting. Originally, and I mean originally in a fantasy lore setting, not in how they were actually written, but originally they were just open portals to another plane of existence. As humanoids kind of congregated around certain rings, they started building towns, and the rings changed to kind of fit the alignment of these creatures. The amount of alignment you have in a particular direction can kind of sway where your gate town will be. It's kind of fickle that way. So if the gate town itself becomes too much like the plane that it is connected to, it could accidentally get swallowed into that plane. Bedlam is the gate town to Pandemonium, and if it becomes just a little too chaotic, it'll be swallowed up and leave behind just the gate. Or perhaps a new town becomes Bedlam and it takes its place. Or humanoids are forced to rebuild the town from scratch, which they will ultimately always do. So what I wanted to do is go through all 16 of these gate towns, and if you are unfamiliar with the Outer Planes, it might behoove you to watch my video on all of the Outer Planes so you kind of have a feel for those, and then you'll know the gate towns and how they correspond with each plane. I just want to make sure you know your bitopias from your limbos. Starting off, we have Automata, which is what I call it, but I think other Official 5e people call it Automata.
Ain't no passing craze.
But that's too much like Hakuna Matata, so we're going to say Automata. The gate town for Mechanus. Now, this is a neutral, lawful plane and home to the Modrons. Well, Mechanus is home to the Modrons, but there's lots of Modrons in Automata. It can be even thought of more as like a machine rather than a town or a city. Everything is laid out in a very square grid, and each building is in a predetermined height. The center of the town is a giant ring that lays on its side, and those wishing to travel to Mechanus must go through the proper channels, have the correct paperwork, and then they step onto the center of this ring and they'll be teleported to Mechanus. But as of 5e, Planescape and the portal are now standing up. It's a gear, it's a giant circle that you walk through. Mechanus and Automata specifically is where the Great Modron March begins every 289 years, with it following the exact direction I'm going to talk about, all of these different planes, and ending with Acheron back at the beginning where Mechanus is. Next is Fortitude, the gate town of Arcadia. Now, this town has a large wall in the shape of a perfect oval, and this gives the town the nickname the Egg. At one end of the oval is the gate to Arcadia, and at the other end is a stadium called the Confessional. Now, the oval has various holes in it that allow entry into the town, and the confessional is kind of just that. It's instead of a private confessional, though, it amplifies your voice. So crowds come to hear individuals announce their sins and accept punishment. Now, the gate to Arcadia is a large green flame that stands atop a circular pyramid of 7 tiles. Now, the flame doesn't hurt, and many think of it as your body being purified when you get teleported to Arcadia. Excelsior, the gate town to Mount Celestia. The streets are made with yellow bricks, which are infused with flecks of enchanted silver and steel, and this creates an ambient light, and so the city literally glows. Now, around this gate town are floating castles called Picket Keeps that orbit the town kind of like moons. The gate specifically to Mount Celestia is the highest tower, which is full of nothing but staircases. Within this tower, there is an observatory that allows you to see Fortitude and Tradegate, but the actual gate is a staircase that keeps going higher and higher and higher, and if you continue on it, suddenly you'll find yourself in midair over the ocean with Mount Celestia within swimming distance right over there. In 5e, they kind of change this a little bit. It's preceded by 7 gleaming steps that hover in the air with some celestial guards on either side. And it's kind of a staircase you can't find unless you are purposeful or destined to find it. Tradegate is next, the gate town to Bytopia. Tradegate is a center of trade and commerce that is second really only to Sigil. The gate to Bytopia is actually a creature named Master Trader. They're a large briar, which is kind of a goat-like centaur creature that is native to the Outlands. So in order to be transported to Bytopia, you need to make a trade with the Master Trader. Now, the price is tailored specifically for the person trying to enter Bytopia, so it might be gold, it might be your left shoe, or it might be a memory from your childhood. Tradegate is ruled by a parliament of merchants who try to keep the money flowing. If you come here, you should visit the Grand Bazaar and find some excellent magical items. Ecstasy, the gate town to Elysium. This gate town is dotted with plinths. This gate town is dotted with plinths, which are tall monoliths of stone or iron. Thus, the city is also called the City of Plinths. The city is described to us as unrushed. It's not passive, but nobody is hurrying, and everyone seems to be content. There is one plinth made of ivory that is close to the center of town, known as Bone Plinth, and if you can make it to the very top, there is a pool of quicksilver, and stepping into said pool will take you to the Plain of Elysium. Faunel, the gate town to the Beastlands. This town is full of ruins. Broken stone walls, chunks of buildings, perhaps coming from all over the multiverse, somehow finding their way here. Nature has overrun these ruins, and there are trees everywhere, vines growing up walls. Any creature that needs shelter will usually just make a tent or forage around for some stone, there are less humanoids here than the other gate towns, and more wild animals than any of the other towns. The actual gate to the Beastlands is a pool of water, and if you drink from it, animals and trees are granted the ability to speak. Submerging fully into the pool, you'll find yourself in the Beastlands. Now, the pool itself is guarded by a stone statue named Wrath, and the statue will not reveal his past, but asks questions of those trying to visit the Beastlands. And only with Wrath's blessing may anyone use the pool to enter the Beastlands. Sylvania, the gate town to Arborea. This town is known as a non-stop party. Drinking songs, dancing, and delicious food. Almost as if the city was intoxicated itself, the streets wind and curve, and they get many visitors lost as they try to navigate around. Buildings are made of stones that are kind of just like piled together and held with luck. There are beautiful flowers that spring up, taking up entire blocks. The actual gate to Arborea is in the nearby woods, but problem, the gate is invisible and it randomly floats around. So the best way to find the gate is to actually not be looking for it. You gotta get lost in the woods and you'll stumble into it, bam, there you're in Arborea. The government of this plane, Sylvania, is known as the Seven Spiritors, who take on new bodies every so often to extend their life, kind of like the magic jar spell. So these 7 always know the exact location of the gate, but by the time you could use that information, the gate has most likely moved on. Still, I think these 7 spiritual creatures trying to cheat death would be a really interesting enemy or a puzzle or something to bypass. There's something there. There's like a campaign around that. There just has to be. Glorium, the gate town to Isgard. If Norse was a town, it would be Glorium. There are mighty warriors that live here in a village of lodges and farms. There is a snake-like statue that towers over this gate town and has snow-capped mountain ranges back in the distance. There's a large lake or a fjord that has settled in between these mountains, and Glorium is unique because it has 2 gates. There's a whirlpool gate at the mouth of the fjord, which will take you to Isgard. That is the one that most people know about, but the second one is in the snowy mountains, and it actually is a secret entrance to Yggdrasil, the cosmic tree that connects all of the outer planes. And that is 8 of the 16 gate towns. So be sure to subscribe for more videos, including the video on the remaining 8 gate towns. Thank you again, Describe, for sponsoring this video. Be sure to check out the link in the description and use code Jordan with a PH in the middle for a 30-day free trial of Opus. The remaining chaotic and evil towns will be really fun to discuss, so stay tuned, and I will see you all in the next video.